Welcome back, ladies and gents, to fasamalikq Fight Arts. And boy, do I have a special treat for you. So today we're going to talk about Baki Hanma Bodyweight Builder for beginners. For those of you who are stuck at home, wants to work out, don't know how to start or do it, want to look like Baki Hanma, but you don't have weights, you don't have access to the gym. Easy. Now these are some of my few basic fundamental exercises for that bodyweight Baki Hanma development. Let's get into it. Now the first exercise would be the Pike Push Up. This particular movement and exercise will definitely train mainly your shoulders and also your traps, but mostly the medial delts, both anterior and posterior as well, respectively. But because the wrist itself is exposed to a ton of stress, so make sure you're warmed up and well mobilized and prepared before you put yourself in the position of the pike push-up. Now for the beginners, I would recommend to start with the neutral grip and try to make sure that you are tucking in your elbow. The neutral grip makes sure that you are maintaining a stable and an aligned position towards your torso, so you're not flaring out. Flaring out will be very dangerous and painful for the shoulder and for the elbows, and you don't want that. You have to imagine that your elbows are as close to your body as possible, but even then you'll eventually flare out, so it's just a part of it. Eventually you will go to the front position, like the normal handstand, but now start with the neutral grip if it's too hard to do. And then, as you can see, I use the dumbbells to give a little bit of an elevation, but if you can't, it's fine, but the dumbbells will make it a lot easier for the neutral position. But if you can, you can just use the floor and go for the normal basic push-up type hand. But remember, the flaring out is something that you must avoid. Now, first of all, you have to make sure that the length of the position of where you're piking and the foot is coherent enough to make an L position. So it's almost a 90-degree angle. So you have to learn to tuck in your waist, to tuck in your thighs to your stomach and pull your head in. That would create an aligned position for your back to drop down, if that makes sense. Now, to get into this pike position where you're 90 degrees, it doesn't just go there. You have to build it up. Find the medium to lowest elevation that you can find, or maybe if it's still too hard, then just get a small break or just get a teeny tiny place where you can just lift yourself and then drop your head and your shoulders down as so. Don't go too crazy with the elevation. But eventually, this is what the pike push-up itself is supposed to look like. Eventually, a handstand push-up is where you want to go. But the pike push-up itself opens up for that window. So with time, you'll get it. You just have to focus here first on controlling, as we call it, the eccentric or the descent. That's where you gain a ton of power. That's where you gain a ton of muscle. And also the adaptation that you need for the handstand push-up. And here's one little trick. You have to find a brick or maybe a dumbbell or an elevation to put the position of your arm to have a little bit of an edge, because if you're just using the floor, to some point you will end the dip, you will end the stretch. But if you use an elevation in between, your head can still go down a couple of inches, and that minor detail will give an extra improvement for the pike push-up and also for the shoulders and traps to work a lot more. For the rep ranges, I would say 5 to 10 repetitions with 5 to 10 sets. Take your time, play with it, because it is rather hard. You can focus on the negatives first, like I told you, the eccentric. Rep it out, get the adaptation, and gradually add full repetitions. The second one is the one and only, the prodigal son himself, the push-up. People think that they do the bench press and they can get away with it without the push-up. No. You really need the push-up. It is very fundamental. because it opens up so many windows. So the push-up itself activates the pectoral major and the minor easily. Why push-up, not dips? Because push-ups are easier. Everyone can achieve this realistically. It works the triceps also, definitely, no doubt. But also the core is indirectly challenged, and that boxer muscle, the serratus anterior, are definitely in development for every rep. You want to punch better? Push up better. When I was learning Wing Chun, we crack on 50 push-ups in like 25 minutes. It is a big deal. Now, if you can't, just bear with me, okay? Hands shoulder width apart. Put your thumb right under your nipple line, and the width from there would be just the length of your thumb to your body. And then drop your body flat on the ground and then push up. Now this is called the drop push up. This is where you want to start before you go to the full rep of the full plank push-up type that doesn't drop down. But if this is still too hard, get an elevation, get this get a maybe a really flat brick or a wood, anything that can release or decrease the elevation and makes it less hard. If it's still too hard, then get a chair, get a bar, get a table or on your bed. Make sure that you're dropping your body and fully extending yourself down and fully extending yourself up. Okay? Now, there are some pointers I want you to remember. I don't want to see my viewers to do these type of push-ups. Half repping from the up down, half repping from the down up. Yes, this is called a pump push-up or whatever it is, but if you want to understand and build yourself on the push-up, you have to control its full range of motion. Control the eccentric and explode the concentric. So control the dropping down, that's where you create the most adaptation and muscle building, and explode up. That trains you to build more power. Now when you master it, you can always add plyometrics, do as much reps as possible to failure, maybe in a certain period of time, do as much as you can. In a circuit training, there are many methods that you can train with this. Now the rep range, I would say 10 to 15 repetitions, 5 to 7 sets. That should be enough, but always remember technique comes first. Now the juicy one. For this one, you really have to warm up a lot. Try to really mobilize your shoulders to a point where you don't feel tightness, to a point where you feel mobile, because this has a lot of stress towards your back and your shoulders and your biceps. This is the chin up. So make sure the things that you have to remember is you're supinating your arm here. That's why it's called the chin up. It's more closer to your chin than you think it is. And do not flare your arms and your shoulders out and your elbows. You have to pull them in near your body to the center of your torso, to almost your belly button in a sense. Right? So I'll just demonstrate here. It's sort of imagine yourself pulling yourself into the middle of your body. Put the arms as close to your torso as possible, so you're keeping it in, not outwards, not flaring out. And if you can imagine this, first of all, you have to retract your shoulders backwards, right? Because you need that arch in that chin up. That arch create an extra lift to the center of your body. So watch this. So as you retract your shoulder blades, you're scooping yourself up with the shoulder blades. So the arch itself helps the elevation. Let me just adjust here. I'll show you what I mean. So this is me focusing on the arch as I lift. And even then, your shoulders still sort of want to go over, and you have to make sure that it doesn't go out of hand and focus on the arch. And now, quick tip, I always put my thumb over, not in the side of my fingers, so I want to grip it on both sides. Why? Because this helps the carpi radialis, the carpi ulnaris, and the brachyradialis to get that thick forearm and veins you TikTokers and hot IG guys go for. But you have to make sure that you are pulling to the middle part of your body. Why is this important? Because the biceps directly are trained. Also, your latissimus dorsi is more activated, a lot more full on. And I'm guessing it's because of the fold. It gives that latissimus dorsi an extra stretch, in a sense. So, because you're stretching, it's different from a pull-up. As pull-up, you pull back and out. But this one, you pull back and in. So you lift the center of gravity up instead of just pulling up your chest. This has a ton of development towards the L-sit chin-up or the other core activation type of training that you want to put in your variation in terms of calisthenics or whatever gymnastics it is. The center of gravity pull makes you able to control yourself a lot more better. But if you can't find a bar, or maybe a high bar, or maybe you don't have an access to a gymnastic rings, you can always find a low bar and start cracking on the chin up under rows. It's also beneficial. And why do I choose the chin up for the Baki's fundamental? It's because it's more of a true pull. Like, it's a truer pull. When we climb, when we wrestle, when we grab by nature, we supinate. Why? Because it's easier. So why not focus on it? Better bang for the buck, and generally easier for men and for women. For men, you get to train your biceps, and for women, it's easier to do than the pull-up. But if you can't, you can just always go under and do some rows. So start to get under and get rowing. I would say 10 to 12. So 10 to 12 reps with 5 sets. Now the abs. As I have given you all the upper body strength, weight, body weight basics, for abs, I would give you all the freedom to try different exercises. I would recommend the knee raise, hanging knee raise. Why hanging? Simple. Grip strength. Make sure you flex your hips to a point where your knee touches your chest and gently drop down, gently. So you're not half repping with your hip flexors only, but with the rectus abdominis, the abs itself. 10 reps to 3 to 5 sets would do. But again, look up the ab training that you want to do and crack on. Well, yeah, that is my Baki Hanma bodyweight basics. This will open up to many doors for your weight training, for your strength and muscle building, for your calisthenics. You have to understand the basics first. You have to understand the fundamentals, the push, the pull, the flexion of the spine through the abdominals. Make sure you got them down first. You got them under control. You have a sense of it. So if you want to ever go to weights, ever go to kettlebell, ever go to any type of strength training that requires you to activate more muscle for bigger weights, heavier weights, bigger movements, you're prepared. Make sure to rest. Make sure to have enough nutrition. Make sure to eat a ton of protein, high amounts of fruit and vegetables. Build yourself up. Don't try to always cut. Make sure you're building yourself first in a maintenance amount of food. And then if you see that, oh, you're already building muscle in a point and you want to see what do you look like as your lean self, then you start dieting down. So don't always focus on trying to be ripped or whatever it is. Make sure you're strong first. Make sure you're performing well. Thank you guys so much for watching. And I'll make another Baki bodyweight basics for you guys soon. Let me think about it. Give me some ideas. Thank you for watching. Subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know what you want to see. My subscribers have been rising slowly but gently, but it's consistent, and I'm very happy for that. Thank you for all the support, and I really hope this channel can actually be independent and make itself sustainable. So with all your support, thank you so much.